Hello, everyone. If you are hearing me, I am told that I am live. I'm hoping that the Streamyard software is telling me the truth and that I am, in fact, live. I am Dana, the Angry Citizen. I'm coming to you today on June 28th of 2026 with some updates, information, and hopefully a plan of sorts. So, um, I've been in a bit of a funk for a while because when I started the Angry Citizen movement, I had assumed that I would meet with a relatively decent amount of success early on, and that because of the fact that we as Americans all more or less want the same things. We want to live in peace, we want law and truth and justice, um, we want accountability and transparency from our government, and I figured that it would be very easy, in fact, probably effortless, to get a whole bunch of people on board with these concepts. And that's proven not to be the case. So that was a setback. That has been a setback. Uh, I have recently been given to revisit all of these issues because, in essence, I cannot accept the reality or the paradigm that there's nothing that can be done and we're all going to simply accept the inevitable uh, victory of the what I call dark powers, the dark overlords, the wealthy people that control the earth. And I cannot accept that. And I cannot withdraw from that conflict and accept that that's a thing that is going to happen or has to happen. And there's nothing that we can do about it. And I get that a lot. A lot of people really uh, are convinced that there's just nothing we can do about it. And they are going to uh, oppose every effort made by anyone that might want to make a difference and work in a positive direction. And I wish they weren't there, but they are. And so I've been dealing with that a lot, with a tremendous, overwhelming level of opposition to virtually everything I try to do, which seems idiotic to me because I am trying to reestablish, more or less reestablish our constitutional republic. That to me is the most important thing that can be done, is that we all agree we are constitutional Americans. We are going to unite under the banner of the Constitution as constitutional Americans and deal with every single issue with that in mind, with a strict adherence to law. But I get a lot of pushback against that, which is very odd. So, um, recently I reached out to a lot of people that I have known and with whom I've interacted and planned events with. Uh, and a lot of the people that I've reached out to are either actively avoiding me or passively avoiding me. There are certain people that I know I can reach out to and I know will get back to me very quickly. And I appreciate these people more than words can say, because everyone talks a good game until it's time to throw some skin in the game, whatever it is we're doing as patriots, trying to make a difference and push back against the tyranny that's being constantly inflicted on us. And everyone has a big story to tell, but at some point you have to actually show up and do something and return a call or a text. And there are some people that I have encountered in this movement who are very consistently there. And my current guest is one who I admire and respect very much, has always been there for me. She founded and has deeply embedded herself in a group, an organization here in Maine known as Health Choice Maine. We have conducted events together. Her name is Tiffany Kreck. And Tiffany, thank you for joining me. I'm going to bring you in right now. Uh-oh, tech problems. Nice. Am I frozen? Have I done all this for nothing? Like I have. Nothing going on. All right. Well, this is exciting. Tiffany, Tiffany.
Can you hear me now?
It might be working. Holy shit. Is it going to actually work? Come on.
Can you hear me?
Come on. I hear you. I hear you. You hear me?
Yeah, sorry. I
Okay,
I
good.
don't even know at what point it froze. I had to restart you.
Yeah, I froze. Apparently, I've been talking to myself for about 10 minutes now. Are you hearing me clearly?
I can hear you.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, I have literally no idea if anything I just said was streamed. So we're off to a great
I
start.
I could hear you talking. You just
Oh,
your
good.
your video was frozen.
Okay, well, I can live with the video frozen, but everything I just said, I thought wasn't streaming. So, all right, let me see if I can get my camera working because it says it's working, but of course it's not working because that would be too easy. So I've told it that I want it to work. I've told it, actually, I've literally told it twice now that I want it to work. So this is good. Let's try again. I'll be right back. Good fun. Good. My camera's not going to work. Shocking. Sound like you're moving furniture. Well, this is great.
Uh,
We're off to an awesome start. I appreciate all my viewers. I've seen a few of you logging in, and I appreciate you very much. And of course, my message is going to be completely strangled here because every time I try to use technology to my advantage in a way that's positive and helpful, everything stops working. And I guess my camera's not going to work. All right. I'm sorry, but I can't accept this. It's just not, it's not right.
every
Camera.
time you and I try to do a podcast together, one or the other or both sometimes, it's like it just does not want to work
Yep.
with us.
Yep. Mm. Why are you black, camera? There's literally nothing there. All right, so the choice is continue without my camera or restart my computer. I'm going to go with continue without my camera, if you can live with that. What do you
I'm
think?
good
You
with
good
it.
with that? All right. Well, I'm glad that everything I just said came through. And Tiff, welcome, and I'm so glad to see you. And I really, I feel like I haven't been a good friend and ally for a while. I've been in a deep funk, and I know a lot of people have. And it was ironic that when I reached out to you, you let me know that you're facing a lot of challenges, and so many people are. And I feel like it feels like to me, honestly, universally, like we're under deep fire. All the good people of the earth and especially of America are just under deep fire. And here in Maine, and you and I were talking about this. This is one of the reasons I wanted to get together with you and do this live stream is to talk about the issue of people leaving Maine. And there's so many people in so many other states doing the same thing. I have a good friend from California that was, left California and moved to Florida. A lot of people are moving to Florida. And you and I talked about this issue, and I told you this is the hill I die on. And Maine for me is the hill on which I die. I'm not leaving Maine. Okay, it is where I die. This is the hill on which I die. I'm not wavering from that, and I will either fix everything that is wrong with this state or die trying. Um, And I can't hold it against people that want to leave Maine. We talked about a couple people that that had said they just couldn't handle it, couldn't live in this state because of the fraud, waste, corruption, that the horrendous corruption of our government and our governor. Um, and I don't hold it against them to do that, but it does make me sad. I wish that everyone would say, hey, you know what, we're Mainers, and we're gonna do what it takes to preserve this state and to restore the power of we the people. But a lot of people are leaving. So we talked about a few things, and I want to leave it kind of open to you to what you want to talk about, if anything, in the interview, because I said to you, I'll respect whatever privacy boundaries. You yourself are undergoing some pretty serious challenges. Do you want to talk about
Yeah.
that?
I mean, it's just, I feel like, to be honest, I feel like, especially when I try to talk about it or explain it to people, I feel like some of it is so wild that it's almost unbelievable. Like, any individual thing happening is wild. All of them happening consecutively it's unbelievable.
Beyond
Essentially,
coincidence.
oh, wild.
Yeah.
Uh, essentially, for the last 9 months, yeah, like 9 months, every 6 to 8 weeks, like almost almost cyclical, like clockwork. As soon as I start getting to where I've like started to unravel whatever previous mess has happened, something new happens. Like, I mean, uh,
I mean, you don't
the
need to be
health choice website,
specific
the health
because,
choice, I'll just give a few examples. The health choice
okay,
website got hacked. Uh,
okay,
my husband bought me uh, a new sidearm for my birthday. Went through the background check, took it home. Everything was fine. Uh, because everybody knows that my ex husband is like sociopathic. He has stalked me for like 15 years. A few years ago, he was arrested trying to unalive us. Uh, he was at the end of a 2 year plan. Like, he had planned this out. So he was released from prison again, and he had already started texting me again. And if anybody has seen me around, you know that the sidearm I've been carrying is big. It's a 40 cal sig. Like, it's chunky. And I wanted something small that was easier to conceal, that did not take up half my torso when I put it on. And so for my birthday, my husband and I had gone down to Maine Military. Um, I picked out a Model 19, sleek little Glock. Background check was fine, took it home. A week later, I get contacted by an ATF agent. And I know he was an ATF agent because I was able to confirm that, right? Informing me that I actually am not allowed to own firearms right now because of a warrant from 2012 from Kentucky for failure to appear for a charge that, like, this was taken care of before I even moved to Maine. And it was not even, I mean, it was not even a charge that would lead to you not being able to own a firearm, even under like the newer red and yellow flag laws, right? He gives me an option. He tells me that I've got a couple of options. Calling the courthouse in Louisville and fixing whatever this issue is not an option. Because I asked. I could either take the gun back to Maine Military and return it, which this ATF agent was nice enough to have already contacted the store where we purchased it to make sure that I could get a refund on my money. Like, like this is
that
already like, what?
that's some bullshit right there. The whole thing is a crock of
Right? Like,
bullshit.
like how nice of him to, to make sure that I could get my money back. Uh, or the ATF would come and relinquish me of my firearms.
Yeah, theft,
Right.
coercion, and
Which is
threat
the
of
other
theft.
wild which is the other wild thing here, cuz at the whole during the whole conversation, at no point in time where any of my others brought up, it was just this one I had just recently purchased. It was the
Yeah, it's
only
the
one that
entire
was brought up.
thing is a crock of
You
shit.
know, they weren't worried about anything else I may own.
Yeah, the
Uh
ultimate violation
so
of your God-given and
a
constitutionally
what is that,
protected rights.
14 years? Yeah, 14 years later. Like, this is apparently a 14-year-old active warrant for failure to appear, which, by the way, I did appear with my attorney. Like, that was all taken care of. The whole thing, it was that, if I remember correctly, the whole charge was dropped, actually. Like, but even still, like, let's pretend, whatever. I have lived in 4 states since then. I have been pulled over in at least 5 or 6 states. I have been pulled over in Kentucky several times. When the last time I was home in Kentucky, for those that will remember, I had we'll call it an explosive altercation with my mother, in which the deputy sheriff was called. Right, like at you would think if this was going to be come up, it would have come up in the state that it was apparently issued out of while I'm there when they ran me. You know what I mean? At no point in time
Yes.
when I've been pulled over and they've run me, at no point in time has this warrant ever come up.
Yeah.
This warrant did not come up on the background check when they approved me to take said firearm home. Like, no, just I get a phone
Yep.
call a week later from the ATF
Yeah,
informing
the
me,
whole thing stinks to
you
high
know,
heaven. It's bullshit.
no court order, no, you
No.
know, and I mean, I'm an advocate, so I understand, I at least had the mentality to confirm that he was who he said he was. Um, but I'm an advocate in the medical field. I'm not an advocate. I'm not a Second Amendment advocate. So, I'm not thinking about the fact that he needs a court order. I'm not thinking about the fact that I'm not thinking about these things, right? I'm thinking,
Of course.
I really don't want the ATF going through my house,
Right.
like
Yeah, because they have power.
it was
They don't have authority,
right,
but they have power.
right, exactly. Um, I mean, hell,
Yeah.
think about that. Like, I'm not allowed to own one, but they're fine with me transporting it.
Yeah.
Like,
The whole thing is ridiculous. It stinks to
like
high
he
heaven.
wanted
It
to take
smacks
it
of
and drive it back to Bangor and return it. Like, it it's so wild that it took them like an hour and a half at the store just to figure out how to return it. And the owner told me, he was like, in all the years I've done this, I've never seen this happen. Like, never.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's kind of where
Categorically
it
ridiculous.
started, and everything has just sort of gone downhill from there. I mean,
Yeah.
people that we've had over 250 acres of ancestral family land that was sold by someone who doesn't own it. Not just sold to land developers, no less. Uh, the only reason that we found out about it when we did is because my cousin goes hunting on the farm every year. And so he happened to come across a group hiking, on our land, and found out that apparently it was illegally sold to land developers. So that's a nightmare.
Yeah, that's insane.
Um, our yeah, our tobacco barn, one of the tobacco barns back home, burned down in the middle of the night. Like, the whole thing. We're talking, this is a 2-story, probably close to 3,500 square foot barn to ash. Like, everything in it was burned to ash. Tools, equipment, cans, like, burned to ash, along with one of our tool
And
sheds.
no
Like,
and no giant obvious sign of ignition like
right,
a wires sticking out of the wall or
right,
something. Yeah,
right.
just
And
fire
now the
just
fire
pops up.
department and my granny is dealing with the insurance company right now, and the fire
God
department
bless her.
and the police department are being so tight-lipped, they will not release the
Mm-hmm.
report. They will not
Yep.
discuss, even with the insurance adjuster, they will not discuss the investigation, the reports,
Yep.
even the cause of the fire, they're not talking at all.
Yep.
Like
Yep. Not a
not
shock.
they're not talking, which
Yep.
is going to make the insurance claim that much harder.
Mm-hmm.
Our landlord, probably you've met our landlord. Her kids have now taken over everything officially, and have evicted all of us. Um, like with no, like the whole thing is wild. It's a mess. But the son is from New Orleans, and he's like some investment banker. I swear I don't think anybody's ever told this man no. Uh, and our landlord herself didn't know anything about it. Like they were doing all of this like behind her back. So we're currently house hunting in Hancock. Like every 6 to 8 weeks, something massive like this is hitting us. Not to mention the new game we're apparently playing with the local police. My husband and I have 3 different vehicles that we drive between the two of us routinely. He's got his work vehicle that he uses to go fishing and clamming, and then we've got like the family vehicle, and then I've got the Suburban. Between the two of us, we are getting pulled over twice a month. Like he just got pulled over literally just over a week ago, and the reason she gave him for pulling him over was apparently she saw a hairline crack in the windshield on the passenger side of the vehicle. And apparently she saw this hairline crack going across the passenger side of the vehicle while she was parked in a parking lot down next to a building. And she saw he was going 45 miles an hour in traffic. Nah.
Yeah. Well,
Nope.
It's interesting, and you and I talked about this on the phone, that you were talking about the fire in particular is of interest to me because many people that I know personally and whom I consider friends and allies have experienced fires springing up right out of nowhere, and a similar theme from the so-called authorities, i.e., tight-lipped, investigations going on, but you're not allowed to ask questions. My buddy Darren, who is the CPS Punisher, and he and I do every Thursday night, we do a podcast together, and Darren had his house suddenly explode in flames, burn flat in South Berwick. You can check this, okay, folks, you listeners. And the same exact situation where the fire department and the police are all being very tight-lipped and not talking about what happened. He has been told he's not, quote unquote, allowed to even go onto his own property to try to retrieve whatever might be there available after the fire. The entire thing stinks to high heaven, and it pisses me off. As a constitutional American, this makes me really, really angry because they keep using this phrase. Keep in mind what Tiffany was saying and what Darren said, and they keep saying "not allowed." Right? Think about that phrase, "not allowed." You're not allowed, okay? And the first thing I always say is, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you to tell me I'm not allowed? What does that mean? By what authority do you come against me and tell me I'm not allowed to go on my own property? Question everything. And Tiffany's rights are mine. If it can happen to her, it can happen to me. If it can happen to Darren, it can happen to me. And we need to all get on the same page and say, no, it's not okay for this, and investigate every single claim that's made. Who are these people? How dare you come against me? Every single time you are accosted by so-called authorities, you need to question the hell out of them because they're not in charge. We are. We, the people, are in charge. They work for us, and we have to hold them accountable. Because if other people's rights can be violated, ours can be violated. And I am not down with that. God, I wish my camera worked. I hate this. But yeah, so you know me, Tiff. I stand right with you, and I'm loud and proud. I don't care, whatever the dark forces are that are going to come against me, because they already have, they do. I've been under heavy assault. I've had friends and even close uh, family members attack me, viciously attack me, declaring that they had some logical cause to hate me. And we talked about the phenomenon that here in Maine, we have a lot of people that are all very loudly claiming we're on the same page, that we want to restore justice, truth, transparency, accountability. We want our government to be held accountable. Our government is in a shambles. Our governor, Janet Mills, is a criminal. The so-called Democrats, I hate that label. I really do. I hate Democrat Republican labels. But in this case, it's accurate. The so-called Democrats are a gang of thieves and criminals, and they are pulling shenanigans in our state house, and this Graham Plattner dude pops out of nowhere as their puppet to put in place to further their ends, and we still fight among ourselves, right? How much do we fight here in Maine among ourselves? We can't seem to all get on the same page and do what is right for our state, and that pisses me off, because they say as Maine goes, so goes the nation. Is that true? I don't know if it's true. I don't. It's very vain to think that our state leads everyone, but maybe it is true. But regardless of whether it's true or not, we in Maine owe it to ourselves and our state to do what is necessary to fight back against the corruption and hold all of the people that are doing it accountable. And we can if we just stop fighting among ourselves. And I don't often understand why we can't seem to align, and we can't seem to put aside all our differences and just work together to try to accomplish the things we all really want. And we really do all want the same things. And every time I say that, some Yahoo leaps up and tells me I'm wrong. This happens to me all the time. We want the same things. Someone immediately loudly pipes up and goes, "No, we don't. You're wrong." Okay, well, we do. We want to live in a constitutional republic. We want our rights respected. We want to live in safety. We want the law to be consistent and thorough. We want guilty people in jail. We want innocent people vindicated. We want transparency and accountability. We want our government to do what we tell them to do, and what's actually best for the people of Maine. And if we could agree on these things, we would be halfway, maybe 60% of the way toward a really secure state and environment for everyone in Maine. We, the people of Maine, could live in prosperity, and if we could just put aside our differences and try to work together. And that's the thing that really irritates me, is how we can't seem to do that. Tiff, you have a visual aid you want to show us? North Fork Road in Stanton.
I do. So this is the property, right? Okay. And you can see the tool shed here out front. And then you can see the big barn behind it. And you can see how big this barn is. And then this is what was left of it. Just nothing. Wow. Just gone.
Yep.
I mean, and just the photo itself is interesting because it burned in the middle of the night.
Of course.
They didn't even respond until almost 6 o'clock in the morning. So who took this picture? That's what none of us can figure out. None of us can figure out who took this picture. Wow. This one on the left here. And they won't tell us either. They just told us that it was a submission, an anonymous submission. What?
Anonymous submission?
Submission. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Sad, pathetic, hilarious. An anonymous submission. Someone was wandering around in the woods with a camera. It just happened to go, "Oh my gosh, look over there. There's a giant warehouse on fire. I'll snap a photo. But I don't want to reveal who I am because, oh my God, the whole thing stinks to high heaven." I don't know what to tell you, Tiff. It's just this is where we are. Like America, if you don't see this, we're at war. There's dark powers at work everywhere. And Tiff, you and I were talking about the motivation for all of this, right? Which is you're saying to me, you thought, forgive me to go here. I know you said you want to be careful about what we talk about, but you talked about, did I piss off Janet Mills? And of course, yes, you did, honey. Yes, you fucking did. Okay. Good for you. So, did you piss her off? Yes, you pissed her off. But is she big enough to have accomplished this? No. No, there are higher powers at work. There
Right.
are there are principles and principalities and powers at work that you pissed off by doing your work with Health Choice Maine, and God bless you for that because I am deeply, deeply admire you for the work you've done with Health Choice Maine and for speaking your truth in the face of the fact that the dark powers were going to come against you, knowing that, but doing the right thing anyway. You have my utmost respect and admiration. She lagged out while I was saying that. Anyway,
Yeah. It when we first hopped on and you were talking and you mentioned that you've been going through a bunch of stuff and a bunch of people have it it's wild to me because you're not wrong. So many people that I work with or am friends with in the last just this year have been so bombarded with chaos,
adverse.
and
Yeah.
and it's like I was telling you the other night that it's that it almost makes you think that somebody out there wants to keep us busy and out of the way.
Yep.
And it's not just us. There's good advocates across the country that I've spoken to that are just they're in the same position. They're being hit with nonsense and chaos and things you wouldn't believe. They're struggling under the weight of all of the chaos. You were talking about depression and anxiety. Hell, I've hit the point where this has everything going on has thrown me so far into my head that I struggle to answer my phone now. Like I'm struggling lately to answer my phone because all of a sudden it's like you're just waiting for the next shoe to drop. Like, what the hell else is going to happen? And it does, it keeps you busy. Like, the last thing that I can handle right now is an election season, being a vaccine advocate in the middle of an election season. Like, uh, I mean, I'll get there once we get moved and settled. I plan on this fall when school starts back up, bringing Health Choice back up. It's dormant right now while the chaos ensues. Um, but we'll get back to it, in the fall when the kids are getting back to school and we're settled in our new place. But like, this has been ongoing for over 9 months now. And it's not just me. Hell, Dr. Nass left, like a month ago. She said to hell
Yeah.
with it. She was done with Maine. She couldn't, she didn't want, and that's just it. It's not that she couldn't, she didn't want to anymore. She didn't
Yeah.
want to
Let me.
continue dedicating the last bit of her life to a state
Right.
that could not give a shit.
Right. Let me comment on what you just said because for our viewers who are not familiar with the person that Tiffany is talking about, you need to look up Dr. Merrill Nass. Dr. Merrill Nass bravely stood up for truth during the COVID scam and has bravely stood up for truth despite the overwhelming tidal wave of hate and anger and resentment and blowback against her for truth on a variety of so-called medical issues. And she is deeply vilified. If you do a little research on her, you're going to find she's deeply vilified. The drug companies hate her. The medical establishment funded by
The
pharmaceutical companies
government
hates
hates
her.
her.
The government hates her. That tells you everything you need to know
They
about this
burned
woman.
her
I've
house
met.
down. They they burned her house down before most of us even realized there was a fight to be had. They had already been burning her house. Like they
because she
literally they
spoke.
burned her house down.
That's
She because she
yeah,
cost the military something like $1.2 billion worth of uh, specialized pilot training, like back when she was doing her anthrax vaccine research. Like she was in this fight before some of us were born
yeah. And
and
I
doing it
admire this woman.
effectively. You know,
Yep, and I admire this woman tremendously. I've met her on several occasions. I've read very diligently read her words, and before you judge her, you need to read her words for yourself. Don't listen to her critics when they make claims about her. Read her words yourself and make up your own mind about whether or not she is saying something that you agree with or disagree with. And I guarantee you that you will see that she speaks the truth. She validates, she provides facts and evidence, and the truth is the sword of God. So don't listen to her critics because they make unfounded claims. She's a shyster, she's a grifter, she's whatever label they can throw out. It's all mudslinging and it's bullshit. Trust me on this, it's bullshit. So, and yes, she has
they
apparently
went
moved
through
out of
6
Maine.
months
Can't hold that against her.
when they were hunting after they had already taken her medical license. um, they went through 6 months worth of her patient files because they were looking for a reason to permanently take her license, right?
Yes,
They took her license on so-called reports from a concerned physician or whatever for patient
right.
treatment, but they went through 6 months worth of patient files and could not find anything to hold against her license.
Yeah,
Not
because her
one.
patients loved her. They loved her.
Well, they didn't just love her. She successfully treated them, even during the lockdown when people were going into the hospital and never coming out. Her patients were fine. Her patients were
Yep,
healthy and safe,
yep,
you know?
yep, yep,
And she cared.
yep.
She was
And
one of
that's
the
the bottom
last
line.
doctors that cared.
Yes.
When I first met her, it was because I had been diagnosed with Lyme. And I called her practice and I left a message, and this was before I even knew who she was in the vaccine world. She got my message, called my cell phone at 6:30 at night from her house because she had gotten her message, because she was worried about me and wanted to check on me. She had never met me. She just knew from my message that I was really sick. Someone had told me to call her, and she wanted to make sure that I was okay.
Yep. Yep. So I'm going to touch on something very important here, critical in fact, and I'm going to say something very controversial, and you can all hang on to your hats. But um, God made me bold and unafraid and unapologetic. And I'm telling all of you right now that I do not need the approval of any group, organization, or individual to seek out services from the person of my choice. So I don't need a license. Your license is a complete crock of shit. At no point has a medical license been an assurance of competence, integrity, or ability to do that job. It is of zero value. Zero value. Okay, think of all of the so-called doctors. These people have gone through all the training. They jumped through all the hoops. They got the diploma in Latin, the beautiful Latin illis octe magnanimus, blah, 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 on their wall, and they still did horrible things or were grossly incompetent. There's no assurance of competence or integrity by your license. And I, as a consumer, am going to seek out whatever I want, whenever I want. I'm not asking your approval. I never gave you the authority to tell me who I am allowed to hire. And if I want to go see Johnny fucking Knoxville for my lobotomy, I will do it. And I'm not asking your damn permission. And piss off that you think you could come and tell me if I'm allowed to do that or not. I hate that phrase, allowed. Okay, who the hell are you to come and get me and tell me I'm allowed to do this or allowed to do that? If I want to go see Meryl Nass and ask her for her opinions and ask her to help me in some way and willing to pay her for her time and services, I will do it. And I'm angry that all of you out there, all you idiots out there, all you sheep have surrendered our right to choose to these authoritarian tyrants who have said, we're going to tell you who you're allowed to see, and you will do what we say. And we will issue these licenses if we wish to do so. And we will deign to give it when we want, and we will take it away when we want. And you have to prove to us, based on our judgment, that you're worthy to have it if you want it back. And this is evidenced by the fact that Dr. Meryl Nass was stripped of her license, Dr. Paul Gosselin was stripped of his license, and I call a giant heaping extra strength dose of bullshit on both of those. It was both of these were done punitively, and they were done vindictively, and they were done to punish the people that weren't doing what the dark overlords and their nasty little minions wanted done. And I stand on that truth. That's absolutely correct. Everything I've just said is verifiably true. Anyway, so
They're leashes. They're leashes. You know, that's what it comes down to. Some of the people, some of my colleagues at Health Choice have encouraged me over the years to do the mentorship program for the bar exam, because in Maine, instead of going through the traditional route of going through university, there is a mentorship program where you can do so many years or so many hours underneath a licensed attorney, and you can qualify to take the bar exam.
okay,
And with all of the time, all of the hours that I've put in, it wouldn't have taken much for me to be able to take that route. And after a lot of, a lot of soul searching and putting a lot of thought into it, at the end of the day, I decided not to, because
good.
of the advocacy work I do. And I have people that used to ask me a lot, like, how I was so effective, like why I was able to do things other people weren't. And I always told them, it's because I'm not obligated to abide by government set ethics that are tied to an arbitrary license. If I need to go in and play a role to get information out of a medical professional, or to get them on board with something, or to get them to hear what a parent or a patient is saying, I'm not bound by the ethics of a license to do so.
Right.
And I'll tell I tell advocacy clients up front and repeatedly, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an attorney, I'm a fucking idiot on the internet, and if you listen to me, you're an idiot. I always
Nice.
I always preface
Well done.
my advocacy work with that statement. But beyond that, like, there are things I can do that an attorney can't. There's things I can do that a physician can't. There's things that I can do for my clients that professional license holding, people are not able to do, because they're bound by those ethics, by those licensing boards, by those committees that oversee.
Rules. Let's be specific in our
Yeah.
verbiage here. Rules of these
And I'm not
agencies,
saying that
organizations.
I'm not saying that there's no purpose for a medical license. I don't want every Tom, Dick, and Harry setting up shop, but
Right.
I think people really, we hold them on a pedestal. And we do the same thing we do with a lot of our systems,
Often.
right? If your kids have been
Yes.
taken, we assume that you're a horrible parent, because there's got to be a reason, right? We don't
Right.
think about,
Right.
the autistic families that are being accused of Munchausen by proxy. We don't think about the parents that are not vaccinating, that are getting targeted in these systems. We don't
Right.
think about the fact that these CPS offices are getting a check per child they keep. We don't think of these things. If you are arrested and convicted of whatever, we think that you're a criminal. You must have done it.
Right. Right.
Because if you hadn't, the court, you wouldn't be in trouble. We don't think about the fact that our that the federal government gives money to our police departments based on how many arrests they make. That literally the successful that we don't look that we look at our prosecutors at their success rate literally based on their prosecution rate, not by how many people, how much truth they found, not
Right.
by how successful they were in filtering out the guilty and the innocent, simply based on how many people they can prosecute. We don't think about the fact that our prisons have literally have capacity clauses where they can end up owing, the state can end up having to pay millions of dollars in fines if that prison drops below like a 97 or
A certain,
98%
yeah,
capacity rate. You
occupancy.
know,
Yep.
we don't think about, we think that the system works the way that we see them work on TV. We think
Hmm.
that the system works the way that we see it on the law shows like Law and Order and all of this. We think that the police are out there investigating based on the truth and the evidence, not going in, not going in with
Incentives.
an idea, yeah, not going in with an idea that they're looking for evidence for, not going in because, where was it, I think it was one of the southern states. There was a whole police department that got caught. They were pulling over people with out of state plates, and they were seizing all of the cash that they found because it's civil forfeiture, right? And these people are out of state, they're driving
Right.
through on vacation, they're not going to come
Right.
back and fight that. And they were claiming that it was civil forfeiture because it was, likely it was drug money. So
Right. Drug
it's
money. Yeah.
theirs now.
Sure.
And they
Yep.
found this whole police department was bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year that they were essentially stealing from
Right.
tourists that were passing
Right.
through. We don't think about these things. We think the system works in this fairy tale manner. We don't realize that for the last 100 years, this system has grown so corrupt that it's begun protecting itself. You know,
Yes.
it's what there was a saying, I forget where it comes from, but it was there's no justice in the system, there's just us in the system, you
Wow.
know? Yeah. And it the medical, the licensing, and all, it all works the same way. Dr. Nass's whole lawsuit against the medical board is a perfect example of this. If you have followed this case at all, you know, literally, even the witnesses that the state brought in ended up, the testimonies that they gave ended up being in her favor. They only had one who got up and lied his ass off about the current medical studies for, I think it was for hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. He lied on the stand, and he was the only one out of seven. The other six got up and told the truth, and it ended up working in her favor. So the state went with the one guy's testimony.
Of course.
You know, like,
Of course.
no, I don't think that we need to get rid of all of these fail safes like licensing, but we don't need to idolize them the way that we do either. You know, uh, and we don't need to. I've heard people even here in Maine that have talked. Well, Meryl Nass lost her license. She's a quack because she lost her license. They took her
Right.
license. You know,
Right.
Dr. Wakefield is an excellent example. Well, he lost his license because he was a
Right.
quack. Like,
Right.
these systems don't work this way, and the fact that people it's it's just it's unjust to the people who walk around just trying to get through regular life that think the system. I blame TV. I blame television and movies because we grow up watching these movies where the cops are the heroes and the courts, always the innocent are exonerated and the guilty are always found and punished. These fairy
Right.
tale versions of our systems, and it becomes like the seed that's planted in everybody, right? Like we think that this is how the
Yes.
systems work because
Yes.
that's what we've seen our whole lives, you know?
Yep. Absolutely valid. I was on the issues of like police brutality and police overreach and police corruption and things like that. That's a whole different discussion. But you touched upon this in the manner of, well, people think the systems all work, the cops are good guys, and blah blah blah. And most cops are decent people. I've met a lot of cops, and I've certainly known many in my lifetime. And I have to say, the overwhelming majority of them are, in fact, actually good guys and good people. And I'm friends with a couple sheriffs here in Maine, and they're good people. But, you know, you do have the bad ones in there. And when the media portrays the system as that you have to basically do whatever you're told by the cops, uh, it contradicts our constitutional republic where we, the people, are in charge. And no, we don't have to just obey orders when the cops say. And one of my favorite shows was NYPD Blue. And they would frequently, Dennis Franz, about 10 billion times, uses the phrase, "You're going to have to come down to the station and answer some questions." And I would always go, no, no, I don't have to come down to the station and answer some questions. I don't have to do anything. If you have no just cause to come against me and no authority to come against me, then I don't have to do anything, literally anything. And they present this as these guys are trying to do a really good job. And there's one show in particular where there was like a construction crew, and Dennis Franz and Jimmy Smits went down to look into some crime, and they were questioning one of the guys down there, and they were like, "That's literally what the guy says. You have to come down to the station, answer some questions." And one of the other construction workers goes, "Well, hang on, according to the Constitution, he doesn't have to do anything, does he?" And he was very meek, but he was asserting that, yeah, the Constitution matters. And Jimmy Smith's character got really angry at him and basically said, basically the equivalent was, "I'm going to knock your teeth down your throat because you keep throwing the Constitution in my face." And that's the reality we face. That's what the TV is telling us and what the media is telling us, that if you resist, if you ask questions, if you don't do what you're told, you are a piece of shit, and you rightfully deserve to be condemned and slapped down and told to do what the hell you're told. So thankfully, God didn't make me that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, valid points, Stiff. Very valid points. So we're gonna wrap this up. It's been about the I try to go for the 60-minute mark. I'm really glad to touch base with you, and I have a few things I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be pretty loud soon. And one of the reasons that I've been
You
so
you
reluctant,
loud?
I
You
know,
loud? Never.
I know, it's a shock, but um, one of the reasons I've been in a funk has been literally every time I initiate any action, there are people that just come out of the woodwork to oppose me. And even in Maine, as you and I discussed in Maine, okay, and I've made a lot of enemies here in Maine. You want to see me, conflicting with people? Go to my YouTube. Watch what happened to me when I went to Calvary Chapel and tried to talk to Ken Graves. Witness my interactions, and I've had some very harsh, unpleasant interactions with a lot of people on social media, including gun owners of Maine. And I'm pissed off at gun owners of Maine, even though some of them are actually what I would consider friends of mine. But I'm a little pissed at them, and I'm pissed at a few people. I'm pissed at a lot of the Republicans in our Congress because they very, very, very conspicuously ignore me. I'm pissed off at a lot of people nationally. Um, I had a couple of different live streams I did with a Boston attorney named Bill Gens, and we were talking about he was defending the Massachusetts state troopers when they were afflicted with this so-called mandate to be injected with a poisonous and experimental so-called vaccine. And Bill and I did a podcast together, and I reached out to former Sheriff Richard Mack, who is the person that supposedly founded the CSPOA, Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. And former Sheriff Richard Mack told me that he would join me for this podcast and participate, and then he ghosted me. He blew me off. And this has been done to me many, many times. And it pisses me off every single time. But my choice is, do I give up? And that's what I really wanted to do, Tiff. For the last couple months, I've been struggling with, I could give up. Okay, I don't need to be doing this. I get no benefit. It accrues me zero benefit. None. Okay, every ally I attempt to assist, with very, very few exceptions, you being, God bless you, one of those exceptions, every single ally wants to fight and argue and complain and tell me why every single idea I come up with won't work. And it's exhausting dealing with them. And I really want to bow out. But at the end of the day, I said, I can't do it. I cannot do it. I can't stop. I can't. Okay. I looked the devil in the eye and I said, I defy you. I am not afraid of you. And I will continue this path. You cannot stop me. You're going to have to kill me. So you want to kill me? Go ahead. Here I am. I'm flesh and blood. I'm a living, breathing son of God. I'm a man. You want to stop me? Come at me. Kill me. Murder me. Otherwise, I'm forging ahead. So, and I thank you because you have always been a really, really powerful ally. You've been at every Maine Freedom rally. You have every time you tell me you're going to be there, you're there. Every time I reach out to you, you reach back out to me. So God bless you. Thank you.
God may have made you fearless and loud, but He made me stubborn, and stubborn is a superpower.
Amen. All right. Well, let's end on that. So, thank you so much for joining me, Tiff, and keep in touch.
Always.
And we're gonna do great things or die trying. That's pretty much where I stand. So,
Likewise.
thank you, everyone in Maine. Thank you for watching. All my supporters, thank you. Deeply appreciate you. Everyone that supported Health Choice Maine and Tiffany, thank you. We appreciate you. Huge shout out to my friend John Linehan in Ellsworth, Maine. Tiff, John did say he reached out to me. He said, let Tiff know. Hello from John. He is a huge supporter of yours.
He is.
Um,
John's a good guy. We
he's
love
a
him and his
hell of a
wife
good
to death.
guy. Absolutely. So, and to America, I say to you, never give up, never give in. Our constitutional republic is worth preserving, and we can do it. We can do it. Never let the devil tell you you can't, because that's what he wants. He wants you to give up. He wants you to fold. He wants you to just go along to get along. Don't do it. Okay. I'm not going to. Tiff's not going to. All of us together have an incredible power. If we just unite and use our power to get what we want, we will see accountability, transparency, and justice. I swear to you. God bless you all. God bless America. This is Dana the Angry Citizen signing off. Until next time, take care, America. I need like a theme song. I need an ending